Hey, everybody. It is a Saturday, and I was fooling around with my lighting and some different settings and things we have here in the studio. So I thought I'd just come on and say hey, and we could just have a little impromptu Q&A, and hopefully it'll work out well, and you'll get to ask some questions. As you come in, please do tell me where you're from. I'd love to know where you're from, where you're calling in from, and so forth. So let's see what's new here in the spooky studio. Well, as you know, if you've been watching for quite a while now, I've been trying to upgrade my video. And I finally think I've got the lighting figured out. I've got a second camera right there. Hello. How's it going? So, pretty fancy. So we're working on trying to get that all straightened out because I have more video things that I want to do, including some video campfire stories and some fun stuff. So let's see where people are in from today. Rodney's in the house. Rodney from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Hey, Rodney, I think I've seen you on the paranormal quiz before. Thanks for joining us. And if you are not familiar with my YouTube channel, please do subscribe at youtube.com/Jim Harold. Let's see who else is here. Chris is in from Galesburg, Illinois. Very cool. Well, Chris, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. Naomi says, evening, Jim. The setup looks good from here in the UK. Thank you. Hey, Jim, OG podcast listener from North Carolina. Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate our longtime listeners. It means so much. Let's see who else we've got here. Alan, he of the Ouija boards, and I know he has a great Instagram page. The name is it Ouijatorium? Am I remembering correct? Alan, put it up on the screen. People can follow it on Instagram. It's fantastic. Who are you? Says my family loves your campfire and paranormal podcast. Well, thank you. Who are you? Let's see. Oh no, not a second camera. Kind of cool. Get ready, everybody. Second camera. Woo, yeah. Oh my goodness, that is wild. Anyway, Jennifer, hi from Wisconsin. Pamela says, hi, nice to see you watching from DC, the nation's capital. Hey, Rick, how you doing today? Good to see you on the feed. Let's see who we got. Stephanie from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Very cool. Mr. Cool says, hello from the Lone Star State, Texas. Hi, Kyle. How you doing today? Victoria says, lovely to see you going on your campfire show soon. Well, excellent. And everybody sign up if you've got a campfire story, jimharold.com/campfire. We've left them open for quite a while now. Pretty soon we're going to have to shut those down for a couple of weeks just to catch up. But certainly if you have a story, hop on over to jimharold.com/campfire. David is in Seattle. Brian is from Brenham, Texas. Phil says, my t-shirt finally arrived yesterday. Yeah, I know. The company I go through, they do a nice job, but I think they've really been delayed by all the COVID stuff. And I also think that they are getting like a ton of sales. So I believe it's a situation where they're just backlogged, but I'm glad you got it. Hello, Shreveport, Louisiana, home of the ghosts of country stars past. Oh, Mary, let me know if that's because of the Louisiana hayride. Now, for those of you who are not steeped in country music tradition, there used to be something kind of like the Grand Ole Opry that's still going strong in Nashville, Tennessee, called the Louisiana hayride. So, Mary, tell me if that's what you're referring to, because I would think that maybe it comes from that. Mimi is from Sweden. Cool. Hi, Mimi. Phil is from Ontario, Canada. Victoria's from Cornwall, UK. Jesse says, looking good from Spokane. I look good here, but I'm not too sure about over here. How's that look? Now, another thing I see here that I've done, I put in the paranormal quiz. That shouldn't be on there. I'll put this little fancy thing on here. So anyway, we'll go back to camera one here. Ooh. Let's see who else is in the house. Thomas says, hello for Central Vermont. I never miss a podcast. Thank you, Thomas. Kyle says, that's awesome, Victoria. I have my call next month. So excited to share. Kyle, looking forward to having you on the show. Hi, Jim from Cole Township, Pennsylvania. I'm going to check out the shirts. Yeah, if anybody wants to check out the shirts, it is, let me see if I can put this down here. Yeah, Anybody want to check out the shirts? You can go to jimharold.com/gear, jimharold.com/gear. So hopefully we'll get to check them out. Let's see who else we've got. A lot of people on today. Michelle from Fairfax, California, late to the party. Janet. Oh, let's see. I'm getting so fast. We get so many people. It's just scrolling through. Miguel, longtime listener from New Mexico. O'Shaughnessy Von Baron. Great name. Hi from California. Vincent, hello from Malta. How neat is that? Andrew says hello from Utah. Hey, Andrew, thank you for joining us today. Louisiana is on my bucket list. Jesse says both angles are good. Thank you. Kyle says, love the setup. Thank you. Oh, I'll probably mispronounce this. Ernan? Sean O'Neill. Hi from Port, and I'm not even going to try, Ireland. Welcome. Brad, 107 in lost wages. Wow. Ooh, that's hot. Mary Elizabeth O'Neill says it is the widow of Hank Williams. Hank Williams and Johnny Horton is my neighbor. Oh, you know what is so? That's right, Miss Audrey. And there's a great paranormal story about Johnny Horton. I've referred to it on the shows if you're not familiar with it. Basically, Johnny Horton, for those of you who don't know, was a famous country singer in the late 50s and going into the early 60s. You might have heard North to Alaska, Battle of New Orleans. And those are songs that were popular enough that you'll still hear them on a commercial or something. So anyway, Johnny Horton had a friend by the name of Merle Kilgore. Merle Kilgore was a songwriter in his own right. He wrote Ring of Fire for Johnny Cash. And also, he ended up being like the manager, I think, for Hank Williams Jr. for many years. He's passed. But anyway, so those two had an interest in the occult and the supernatural. So basically what happened is that they worked out a phrase that if one of them passed away, that the other one would try to get that message back to him. It was very unique. It was the drummer was a rummer and couldn't keep the beat. So if one of them passed, that was like the code phrase they had to get back from the beyond. So anyway, what happened was Johnny Horton was killed in a car accident, I believe in 1960. A few years later, there had been a rainout in a game, I think in New York or Cincinnati. I can't remember where it was. And when there's a rainout, somebody tuned in to listen to the ball game. That person happened to be part of a psychic group. And the game was rained out. So they were playing music. They were playing country music. And this person was not a fan of country music. So anyway, the announcer comes on and says, that's Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, of course, written by my good friend Merle Kilgore. Well, this person's ears went up because they were having seances or some kind of communication with the other side, his psychic group. And they had been getting messages to get a message across to Merle Kilgore, but nobody knew who it was. So anyway, this guy somehow got in touch with Merle Kilgore and said, there's somebody trying to reach you from the other side. And he's like, oh yeah, sure there is. Somebody by the name of Johnny. And his ears perked up and he says, he's trying to get a message to you, but it doesn't make any sense. And Kilgore asked the guy or the woman, I can't remember which it was, what's the message? And the message turned out to be the rummer was a drummer and he couldn't keep the beat. So take that for what it's worth. I know that's a little tangent from our introducing everybody, but Mary, you had such a great story. I appreciate it. So anyway, that is one of my favorite all-time spooky stories. Did not come from the campfire. That's been around for many years. So Mary, thank you so much. All right. Let's see who else here. Ivan says, greetings from East Croatia. Is that cool or what? Thank you, Ivan. Colleen says hi from PA. Belinda says hello. Ann says, haircut looks really cute. Well, the funny thing is I really need a haircut and it's just kind of messed up. So this is kind of like, if it looks good, it's a total accident. It's nothing I did. But Dara's been doing a great job keeping my hair not that shaggy. Joy says, Hartville, Ohio. Hi, Joy. Carrie says, working right now. Thanks for the company. Good to talk to you, Carrie. Michelle says, hello from Atlanta. O'Shaughnessy says, thanks for the name call out. I love that name. That's so cool. Was just catching up on the latest campfire when I realized you were live. Former Buckeye in Austin, Texas. Hey, good to talk to Buckeye. That's what we call Ohioans. Anywhere, wherever they live. Joy says, I've been listening to you since 2013. Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. A couple pieces of news I put on Facebook. Everybody was so nice in social media. But the 29th was my 15th anniversary podcasting. Started the Paranormal podcast back in July 29th. Of 2005. My first guest was Lloyd Auerbach, a tremendous expert. I was so lucky to get him as my first guest because I had no idea what I don't have much of an idea of what I'm talking about now. I had less of an idea even then. He's fantastic, still a great go-to guest. And yeah, and then I thought, well, I haven't tabulated my stats for a while, so I should look at my stats. And it turned out that lo and behold, if you add all the plus and the free and all the different podcasts I've done, 50 million downloads, which blows me away. I mean, that's tiny numbers compared to a Joe Rogan or somebody, but that really does blow me away. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I just like to do that. But I do mean that. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Nikki says, hi, long-time listener from Kenya, now living in the UK. Love your shows. That is so cool. Thank you. Hannah, hi, Jim, from the Midlands in the UK. We get such great support from the UK. Don't tell my fellow Americans, but I think we get better support per capita from the UK than we do from the US. Thank you. Elsa, howdy from Texas. Samantha, Wisconsin. Hey, Samantha, good to have you on the stream here. Are you ever going to do an investigation on a haunted place? Well, I would like to do that. I mean, I don't think I want to become a paranormal investigator, but I would like to do something maybe, but not now. We are holed up since March. We've pretty much we've not done anything. I mean, it's really sad, but I think that for us, it's necessary. And we're just trying to be super careful. And by the way, I hope everybody is doing okay with this. This is a terrible time. And, I like to think of the shows as kind of an oasis. And but it's a tough time, and we're all dealing with it in any part of the world. Different parts of the world, different strength. Here in the US, we're right in the thick of it, but the world has gotten through tougher times than that, and I think we'll persevere. But bless all the people who have been affected by this, and unfortunately some have passed by. It's very sad, but I try to keep it light on the shows. I want to give people somewhere they can go where they don't have to think about it for an hour, or as in the case of the recent campfire, 90 minutes. So. Colin, hi from England. Hello. Belinda from LA. Hey, Belinda, thank you for joining us. Andrew, thank you for podcasting. Been listening for 7 years. Love it. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. Hey, Lonnie, my buddy. Actually, I've got a song that I'm going to share with Lonnie. I think he'll appreciate it. Michelle says, I remember hearing about this in the Spooky Studio app. Very cool. Michelle says, I'm so happy to catch us. It's almost 10 p.m. in South Africa. Long-time listener. Michaela. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Greg, he is a loyal listener of the Paranormal Quiz. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Greg. Oh, Tom used to live in Medina, Ohio, but now Chillicothe, Ohio. Hello from Southern Ohio. I was actually down in Chillicothe once. I believe you have Native American mounds down there. And in college, we did a little documentary on them. I think it played in Ohio schools for years, a video documentary. I actually wasn't on camera. I was behind the scenes. I was like the producer of it. But yeah, I always have fond memories. I remember going to a little diner down there and had one of the best breakfasts I ever had. GB says, looking slim. Thank you. It's all an illusion. But we do our best. Ash says, greetings from your neighbor in Michigan. There you go, Michigan. A beautiful place. I know there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Animosity between of Ohio and Michigan because of football and things. But I've always looked on Michigan very favorably. And your football team up there, the Detroit Lions, I feel like they're the Cleveland Browns West, although they're actually better than the Browns. But I've always felt a little kinship because I think we're two of the original NFL teams that have never gone to the Super Bowl. So don't tell my Ohio friends, but I like Michigan. Greg, did you ever get a chance to watch a YouTube clip of Telly Savalas' ghost story? No, I didn't do it. And you know what? Oh, I got to tell you guys about something. I did not, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write it in my Rocket book. I don't know if everybody's ever had one of these. This is the neatest thing. I got this for my birthday. It's called a Rocket book, and it's just a notebook. It's got special paper in it, and it's erasable. You get a friction pen, and these are very inexpensive. You get a friction pen. Usually I think one comes with it, and you have a little cloth. And you moisten the cloth, and then you write whatever notes you want. And there's there's like little circles at the bottom, and you X them off. And there's an app that goes with it. And you take your phone and you scan the picture, and then it automatically sends the notes. And they're not very expensive. And it automatically sends the notes right to like your email address, your Google Drive, somebody else's email address. I've been using it for the last month for show notes. Every interview, I make show notes if there needs to be an edit or if it was something was noisy or whatever. And I do my show notes on this thing called, and I'm not selling it. I'm just explaining. This might be something you guys want to check out. It's called a Rocket book. It's very cool. In fact, I may record a separate YouTube video on this and just put it as like a tip for people because I think it's such a cool little thing. And, you know, I might have on a day I do campfire, I might literally do 15 calls a day. And this way everyone can have a note. I after the call, like if there's because sometimes there'll be edit because somebody coughs or a dog barks or something. And then what I do is I make all the notes and then I take a picture, scan it with my Rocket book. It goes like to my email. And then the cool thing is after that, you know, I've got those notes. I just take my cloth, wipe it off. And I used to use index cards, and the desk would be full of index cards all over the place. But this thing is great. And it's weird. I don't know if you've ever had this when you get something for a birthday or something like that, and you think, I'm never going to use that. But this was my youngest daughter's idea, who helps me with the shows, and she's been editing this summer and doing a great job. And it was a great idea. I love it. Anyway, I'm sorry to bore you with stuff, but check out Rocket book. It's pretty cool. Michael Dean, hello from Baltimore. Joey says, hi from Levittsburg. Joey Medea, yes, of course. Matt says, happy anniversary. We used to have the Cleveland baseball team used to have a player with the last name Gomes. It was Jan Gomes. He was an excellent catcher. He was traded, I don't know, to Texas or somewhere. I can't remember. Maybe the Astros. Hi from New York, caught up on the podcast. I need more. Well, we're going to keep putting them out. Alan says 50 million downloads is a huge achievement. Well done, Jim. Well, yeah, it is a huge achievement, and I really appreciate it. But I guess I will say this. I always think, well, I should be, you know, closer to Rogan. I always want to do more and reach more people. I'm kind of wired that way. So there you go. But thank you. Let's see. Jordan. Hi, Jim from Indianapolis, Indiana. Hi, Jordan. How are you today? Good to see you on the stream. John is here. Let's see. Been listening since 2008. Amber is here. Hey, Amber, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just down the road. Catherine, just got my Paranormal Podcast t-shirt in the mail. Love it. Thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate it. Erica from Pensacola, Florida. Our game show, Paranormal Quiz this week. Our winner was from Pensacola, Florida. Stay safe. And yeah, everybody out there, stay safe. Diamond says, hey, Jim. Hey, Diamond. How are you? Good to see you on the stream. Matt wants to know, what is the most haunted place in Ohio? Probably from everything I've been able to glean, the Mansfield Reformatory, which I've not been there. Hey, Jim Dar's doing a great job with the haircuts. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Amber. Amber is a great supporter. She was, I think, on our first paranormal quiz, and we appreciate her. And she had taken a picture of her and her paranormal podcast t-shirt that I don't know if it's one she won or she bought, but if you get one of the t-shirts, we would love for everybody to put a picture of them showing it, because I think that is so cool, so people can see what it looks like and see where you're from, and it's just kind of fun. So if you get one of the t-shirts, please, on social media, it could be in the virtual campfire group, wherever, post it, let people see it, share the love. Thank you so much. And I will tell Dar you like the haircuts. Thank you. Keen says, hi from London. Been listening to your show since 2012 when I searched Paranormal Podcast. You did well with that name. That's true. And that's just by the fact of being first for that name. In 2005, when I decided to do this just as a hobby, it was one of these things where I said, well, I'm not the brightest guy, but I've got a podcast and it's about the paranormal. So what should I call it? Paranormal podcast. Paranormal podcast. Paranormal podcast. I said, for sure, somebody's got that. Nobody had it. So there you go. Now, I don't know that today that works because they say don't put podcast in the name of your show. But seeing I've been doing it for 15 years, I'm not changing. Elam says 9 p.m. UK time. Say hi to Belinda. Hi, Belinda. Good to see you. Hey, from Pensacola again. Drew, our winner. Excited to see some of the new videos you make in the future. We will, and I'm just going to be probably sending out your prize on Monday. That's the plan, Drew. Thank you for playing the paranormal quiz. And if you haven't had the chance to check that out, check it out. We're doing it now every other week. We're not doing it this Tuesday, but we're doing it next a week from this Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we have contestants on, give away t-shirts and some cool prizes, and quiz people on their paranormal trivia. How often will I do these Q&As? I don't know. I just kind of do them a lot of times when I'm testing stuff out, and probably more of them. And I'd like to find a way to do them for the Plus Club members on a more regular basis. I'm going to be working on trying to talk to the people I do the Plus Club with to see if we can set that up. Andy says, hey, Jim. Suzanne says, Carefree, Arizona. Cool. Jen says, what about doing a paranormal quiz show with you, Micah, and Ryan? Dark could run it. No, I don't want to lose. Good idea, though. But maybe I'll find another paranormal personality and do like a celebrity edition. That would be fun. James says, hi from Exmouth. Devon, UK, been listening for a long, long time since the Boggy Creek episode listed on iTunes years ago and have been with you ever since. Thank you for all you do, except not being able to read properly, James. But thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Cal says, I don't know if you could say, but are we on the right track for keeping 90-minute episodes? Also, everyone keep sharing the podcast with friends and social media. Kyle, I mentioned on this week's show, I don't know if you heard, we are on the right track and it is trending, but we need to continue to share and to subscribe if we're not subscribed, or follow if we're not following. Because the thing is, and I always say this, but it's absolutely true. There's so many shows out now, and these shows, the vast majority that came out after Paranormal Podcast and Campfire, a lot of them are run by big companies. They got 20 people working on one show. They got huge budgets and they've got marketing dollars. And what happens is they can buy ads, they can buy placements, they can do different things. And, I'm like at the charts here looking up at them, and I know my shows are, just as good in my opinion. Maybe not in every case, but it's certainly in some cases. So you guys are my kind of army to get the word out. So I appreciate it. Hey, Jim, still listening after all these years, loving the content better and better each year. I thank you so much. I appreciate that. What I was going to say is that I really do always try to think, how can I get better? Whether it's lighting, whether it's cameras, whether it's the service I use for this, whether it's my sound quality, I just want to get a little bit better every year. So I do try to do that. So thank you. And I hope that's true. I hope it does improve every year, because we always might go up, never want to go down. Pencast. Elsa says, I think she's talking about Rocketbook. Melissa says, I have one, don't know how to use it. Look into it, Melissa. There's some good YouTube videos. I don't know what your hobbies are or whatever, but or business, but whatever it is, I think there could be uses for it because I'm like, well, that's kind of a neat thing, but what am I going to use it for? And I realized I take these notes during the shows and it was perfect. I edit out dog coughs. If they're egregious barks and I can, sometimes you can't, but sure. Yeah. Yeah. We try to do that. We try to make the show sound as good as it can. Sometimes it's tough because honestly, people will call in on a bad phone or their computer, they have sometimes people have their computer clear across the room, but that creates tremendous echo. So we're always trying to figure out ways to make things sound better. That book looks awesome. I'm going to look it up. Thank you. Yeah, they're cool. Robert says, greetings from sunny LA, Jim. Thanks for getting me through my night shift daily, although I tend to get myself jittery while listening. Thank you. Mary is from East Tennessee. Caroline is from the Midlands, UK. Love your podcast. Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate it. Say hi to Belinda, please. I think you put this in after I did it, but I'll say it again. Hi, Belinda. Sonia, Dallas, Texas. Hey, Sonia. Your podcast is one of my absolute favorites. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Hi from Kansas City. I just finished the most recent podcast. Love the Paranormal Quiz Show. Always look forward to it. Thank you, Jennifer. Hello from Chicago. Glad to see the surprise meetup. I've enjoyed your shows for years. I now love Box of Oddities and HelloFresh thanks to your suggestions. Yeah, we really, I only suggest things I like. And I'm glad in both cases. And the Box of Oddities are great. And he asks favorite beer. Some people might say it's pedestrian and it's kind of ironic. Considering the current situation, probably my favorite's Corona. Not, I feel badly for that company having that name, but Corona beer. And I like Corona Premier because it's got lower carbs and stuff, but it's very tasty, very tasty. Alex, in fact, I should have one right now, but instead I have some coffee. Alex says, hello from New York. The city's so nice. They named it. I'm assuming it's the city. City's so nice. They named it twice. Best paranormal podcast beside your show. Well, I think Astonishing Legends. I'm not going to say best because I don't want to leave anybody out. I think Astonishing Legends does a good show, a great show. I think Box of Oddities does a very good show. They're not solely paranormal though. So those are a couple I would steer you to. Those are a couple of my favorites. Temple says, Jimmy, that's what my family calls me. My family growing up called me. My dad still calls me that. And the thing is that there was a time where people would call me Jimmy, Jim, or James. I was James up through high school. My family called me Jimmy growing up. And then what was funny was my family on my dad's side, his family, like my grandmother and my aunt and my cousins on that side, they would call him Big Jimmy and I was Little Jimmy. Although I picked up too many donuts and I'm not such Little Jimmy anymore. And then Jim was after college, college and beyond. So if somebody said my name, I could immediately categorize them where they were in my life. Not that anybody cares, but it's kind of cool. Thank you, Temple. And I'm glad you like the 90-minute shows. Mimi asks, what made you start a paranormal podcast? Well, I've always been fascinated by this stuff. And I said this on the show before. I have been a frustrated broadcaster. I worked in radio on advertising the business side, but I wasn't behind the mic, and I'd gone to school basically for video. That's why this is interesting to me too, in getting this going. And I was frustrated. I'd been working in radio and media in general for the better part of 12 years. I'd worked for newspaper. I worked for radio. I worked for magazines in advertising. And I heard about this thing called podcasting, and I'm like, I want to give this a try just for fun. I never thought it was going to be a money maker or a business or a career. And then I said, well, I don't want to do politics and I don't want to do sports. I'm not going to add anything to that. And I looked around and I didn't see a lot of paranormal podcasts. I think the only one that was around then that I think is still around was the Paracast. Uh, and that's how I came up with the paranormal podcast, as I said before. And I said, 6 months I'll be doing this. I have all this stuff figured out because I grew up loving In Search of and Unsolved Mysteries. And that's how it happened. So, Mimi, good question. That's how it happened. Amber, she said she was the first winner. That's right. That's right. Mimi, do you own any haunted items? Not that I know of. Michaela says, your setup looks so much better than most of the streams I've been watching. There's a good reason for that. I spent a lot of money. But, the thing to me, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to try to do it well. This still isn't as super deluxe as I would like, but I think it's pretty good. So thank you. Elam says, thanks, Jim. Best podcast ever. Sharon says, and thank you, Elam. Another of our, I think Sharon's from the UK. Hey, Jim. Hey, Sharon. Michelle, love the colors. Yeah, and I can do some weird things and change these. I could make that. Let's see. I can make that red, or I can make it a different color. Yeah. And the funny thing about this is, here's a little tip. This is like a $20 light from Amazon. The blue and the red lights aren't even expensive. There's other stuff in here that's expensive, but not that. Temple says, love. We already got to Temple, but I didn't mention Temple is from Wichita, Kansas. So very cool. Fralus, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if it's wrong. Hey, Jim, greetings from beautiful, sunny Higgins Beach, Maine. Still the most haunted place in Maine since I moved there. Excellent. Is the quiz back on for Tuesday? It will be a week from Tuesday. We thought we'd go to every other week now. Alex says, hello from New York. Why was it tough to keep the paranormal report going? Scheduling was part of it. Really the part that was the toughest was the show that I did with Clayton, then with Micah Hanks, where we did clips and things. And that was video, and that was very early on, and it was much tougher than it is now. That show would be much easier to do today. But the thing was, I wasn't happy with the clips. I mean, there's so many fake clips out there, and I just felt like we were going over clips that it was hard to find good clips, basically. So that was the biggest reason. Phil says, hey, Jim, what do you think of the Spirit Box apps? I got a very creepy response a while ago. In general, I'd be pretty skeptical of those, but I'm always open-minded enough to think of something. Who knows? Maybe spirits recognize. I mean, people have the Frank's box I use with radios. So I couldn't say that it's, 100% false or anything. So maybe. But I don't know. Phil. Grant says, I'd love more doppelganger episodes. I wish we'd get more good doppelganger stories. I had to write down two things here. I was telling you about the pen and forgot. Telly Savalas story for Greg. If you don't know who Telly Savalas was, when I was a little kid, he had a show called Kojak. And it was very, very popular. And many of you are probably born way after that and have no idea what we're talking about. But one of his things is that he was always, I guess he quit smoking or something in the show, the character. He always had a lollipop. And I remember as a kid, now this shows you American capitalistic ingenuity. And anywhere you can make a buck, somebody was out there to do it. And I don't know if anybody else remembers this. You could actually buy Kojak lollipops. And it was a lollipop with a wrapper that said Kojak and had a picture of Kojak, Telly Savalas. So anyway, the odd things you'll hear on the Jim Harold live stream. But Grant, I would like more doppelganger. Let me write that down because maybe I can't really affect the stories. They are as they come. But I need to do a show on doppelganger in terms of Oh, interesting. I just saw some breaking news about TikTok. Anyway, I lost my train. My train of thought has derailed. Doppelganger. I can't control the campfire stories, but what I can do is I could have some experts on about it. Let's see. If you had to choose, would you rather encounter a black-eyed kid or shadow person? Oh, that's tough. I'm afraid I'm going to tempt fate here. I think a shadow person. I don't want anything to do with the black-eyed kids, man. No, no, thank you. Carter Link says, "Hey, Paul. Hey, Jim. Paul from Warrington, UK. Love the shows, especially the Paranormal Podcast. Found so much reading material through those discussions. Thank you so much." Sharon says, "I'm certainly enjoying the 90-minute episodes. Hope they stay." It's looking good, Sharon. It's looking good. Big fan from Northern Ireland. I just listened to your last campfire. Big fan. Thank you so much. Freyla says, "I've got a cool doppelganger experience to talk about. jimharold.com/campfire. Sign up. We'd love to. Will there be another campfire book? And if so, when? Hopefully in September. I'm working on it." Freyla, are you going to talk more about your own experience with the paranormal again in the near future? More stories from yourself. The problem is, Freyla, is I've told all the stories on the show. And I hate to be repetitive because it's all in the archives, but occasionally I'll talk about one here or there when it relates to a guest we have or another story. But I hate to overly repeat them. But I've got to remember that there are people who are newer to the show who have never heard them, so I probably should do that. Dallas, Texas. Hey, Sonia. Michelle says native is great too. Native is excellent. I'm using it right now. Kyle says, "Can we please do an All-Stars Paranormal podcast? It would be cool to see the winners play." Yeah, I think you mean a Paranormal Quiz, play against each other. I think that's a great idea, and we've actually talked about that. So that should be a lot of fun. I don't know when we would do that. What I would probably want to do is get long enough where we have several different winners, and we go back and look at the point scores and find the top 3 contestants. So I think we'd want to do it a little while longer, but I think that's a cool idea. Did I try any ales when vacationing in the UK? I didn't because I prefer lager. I'm weak. But I should try it. You know, I did like, though, cider. I had ciders, and I liked, and there was one, Thatcher's was one that I liked. And I remember that because Margaret Thatcher, the former prime minister, I remember that being my favorite, but I don't think you can get that anywhere here in the US, but I enjoyed that. Sharon, I only listen to your podcast. Well, bless you, Sharon. That's very kind. You should totally do a paranormal quiz show of past winners. I think that would be cool. I agree. Freylis wants to know, and Freylis, I hope that's the right pronunciation of your name. I'm totally a Stephen King guy. Totally. So that's my guy. What's up? Dig the 5 o'clock shadow. Yeah, I just didn't feel like shaving. It's no fashion statement, believe me. I don't like a lot of stubble. What's your favorite horror movie? Probably The Shining. Spencer. Hey, Jim. All good over here in Edinburgh. See, I didn't say Edinburgh because a lot of my fellow countrymen, they would say Edinburgh, but it's Edinburgh, I think, with homemade Ouija. Very cool. Very cool. Where's the spookiest place you've ever been? Oh, you know what? I was out in Colorado several years ago, and I stayed at a place called the Hotel Boulderado, and I highly recommend it. It's excellent. I mean, just for staying, it's just beautiful, and it looks like the 20. I don't know if it was haunted, but boy, it felt like you were walking back into the 20s when you went down to the lobby. So not spooky in a bad way, spooky in a cool way. So, and they would have these old phones, and they had an old hotel ledger out, and I love old stuff. You can just kind of look at some of the stuff I'm showing behind me. I love old stuff. And they had like this old hotel register from 1927, and they had an old what was it, elevator, and they had an elevator operator. It was absolutely amazing. I'm just looking here, just making sure the family isn't trying to reach me and text me while we're doing this. Oh, we got a lot of comments. I'm going to have a lot of comments to get through here, so I better get through here. Glad you don't get into politics. The White House seems like the Twilight Zone enough already. I'm not talking about politics, man. It's such a mess. Celebrity Paranormal Quiz, George Knapp, Jimmy Church, and Richard Serrett. I've never had Jimmy on the show. I need to reach out to him. I did ask George Knapp, and he didn't have time. He had time to be on Joe Rogan, but he didn't have time to be on my show. But that's okay. I actually admire George Knapp greatly, and he was kind in his comments. So, oh well, it's the way it goes. I do need to ask Jimmy Church on. I think that's a great idea. Maybe we could. I wonder if Dave Schrader would do it. Maybe I have Dave Schrader, Jimmy Church, and Richard Serrett. Michaela says, nah, some people spend tons and still can't get it right in terms of the live stream quality. Thank you. Douglas says, hey, Jim, wash hands, wash hands. There you go. The skull behind Jim approves of the setup. Great answer. Love your podcast. You're ever going to do a live podcast? Well, we did. We're this coming Tuesday, actually, at let me check here. At 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe, this Tuesday. Yeah, 3 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be doing a live interview with Ryan Sprague. That'll later be repurposed into a paranormal podcast. So yes. So keep watching, and we'll put out the notice for that. Also, I have a really special guest coming up in a couple of weeks. I don't want to announce who it is that we'll be doing a live interview with. So it'll be cool. But Mimi, thank you. Rick, do you enjoy watching the various ghost hunting TV shows? Also, have you seen the new Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix? No, I don't like the ghost hunting shows for the most part. I just, they don't do it for me. On the other hand, I love the new Unsolved Mysteries. Do miss Robert Stack, but they're not going to be able to bring him back, obviously. That really would be, that would be a solved mystery. But the point being that I think that was almost impossible to replace him. So I think that they were smart what they did. I would like to see more episodes. I'd like to see more paranormal and UFO. And I think they had, was it 6 or 8 episodes? All of them were great, except one was kind of, I thought, a snoozer, but the rest of them I thought were really good. You're looking the best that you have in a while. What is your secret? Clean living, Stephen. Clean living. Mahler. 2332. Going to be on the campfire next month. Can't wait. Cheers from Warsaw, Poland. Cool. That is awesome. That Dar haircut is still working for you. Hey, Patrick. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And check out Patrick's show, the Big Seance Podcast. He does a fine job. What's your favorite Universal monster? Mine's Frankenstein. I'm right there with you. Because if you notice, I always do this with, it's hard to do. Right up here, this guy. All right. See who's there? See him in the corner? Very cool. All right. What's been the story that spooked me the most? 2 stories. The Roadhouse story, which I'm assuming you'll know, which is about the mural that almost sucked in our caller. And probably the story about the policeman who had almost like the Men in Black experience with the guy who was disturbed and running around unclothed and acting kind of feral. And then like this fake police officer and fake ambulance came and picked him up. Those are the 2 spookiest. Also, honorable mention, the Oh My Darling, What a Mirror Image We Are story. We are the Christmas story. I think that was from 2012. Greetings, Stephen. Hello from Chicago. Always good to hear. Good to see you, Stephen. Stephen's been a long time supporter. So let's see here. All right, Jennifer's back. Jen OG listener again, went to the mother country, Edinburgh and York, UK last year and loved it. Me too. I didn't go to Edinburgh, but I went to York. It was great. When you and Dar went to the UK, did you visit haunted sites you'd recommend? I plan to go back next year. Not haunted per se. There was a haunted bus tour, and it was very tongue in cheek. It was in London. It was a retrofitted double-decker bus, and I forget what it was called. Let me text her and see. I'm just going to do a quick one of these quick deals. Would you happen to know the name of the haunted bus tour we took? Question mark. In London? Question mark. Because I know there's different things, so I want to get you the exact number. And who knows how any of these businesses are impacted by coronavirus long term. And then the Tower of London, it wasn't haunted. I mean, I think there are ghostly legends about, but the Tower of London was awesome. Hey, from sunny seaside, red car in the UK. What's your favorite scary movie? Probably The Shining. Freyla said, yes, you've been pronouncing my name perfectly. Freyla's. So great. Excellent. Ivan, I also have a question. Would you do some UF topics, abductions, close encounters in the future? I like watching you since 2012 or something. Yes, we're going to be doing that show with Ryan Sprague on Tuesday. Patrick says, I'm a big fan of the Echo Vox app. I was skeptical of it for a long time, but I think it's legit. I'm going to have to check that out. Patrick, I trust Patrick's judgment. Ivan, I also have a question. Will you do some, wait, I think we already did that one. Sorry, Ivan. Doppelganger stories have always fascinated me. The Mothman too. And Jennifer had the question about the haunted places in England. Ghost Bus. I think she said that that's the name. Thanks. So, yeah, Ghost Bus. And it's was in London. A lot of fun. But it's not a serious investigation. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and they're actors, and that's a lot of fun. Wendell, will you be doing a Halloween party this year? Of course I will. Of course, yes. Black-eyed kids are the freakiest stories. They are. They're terrifying. Freyla said she signed up for August 19th. Very cool. Thank you, Freyla. Looking forward to it. Doyle, fellow Ohioan from Mansfield. Love the show. Thank you. Okay. I want to get through all these before we hang up here. Jackie, I remember discovering the podcast after needing something to listen to for long drives from Connecticut to Ontario, Canada. Thank you, Jackie. Jim, what's your favorite cryptid? I love Mothman. Yeah, I think that's probably mine too. That's mine too. So I think that's true. Freyla says, I've been telling all my friends about your show, and I know that quite a few have jumped on the campfire train. Choo choo. Well, thank you, Freylis. I appreciate it. Think you prefer the new camera angle? You like that one better? The problem is I can't read the comments when I'm on this angle, so I got to look down. I guess I could do that a little bit. We'll try that. Elsa said, will you be doing a follow-up show on past episodes that they're most compelling? Stay tuned. I've got some ideas. Stay tuned. Tia, excuse me. Got to get my spectacles on and got to remember what camera. See, these don't have tally like TV cameras. So I got to remember which one I'm looking at. Tia says, aloha from Maui. Love the podcast. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Tia. I appreciate it. Freyla says, yeehaw, I only live 2 hours from Stephen, laughing out loud. What's your favorite Universal monster? Mine's Frankenstein. Definitely Frankenstein. Douglas says, and I know why this is, Douglas. Douglas says, your voice drops off considerably when you turn away from the mic. Well, two things. One, my recording, my audio setup's a little different because my Rodecaster, which is my fancy usual recorder, started malfunctioning, and I ended up sending it back to Rode, the manufacturer, and they're very good about it, and they're going to repair or replace depending on what the situation is. And the thing is that has, and you may be familiar with this, has something called compression. What that does, if you get a little bit away from the mic, it'll boost your voice. Well, I'm using something now called the Mix Pre 3, which is my interface today. I'm using this mic. And it doesn't do that compression. So you were right. So thank you for pointing it out. Crystal wants to know, can only members be added to the Facebook group? I'm not a member, so I can never comment. I requested to be added, but never was. So I'm wondering if it was my members only. Crystal, the Plus group is for Plus members only, but join the virtual campfire group. That's open to everybody. So if you did, and we get a lot of submissions, so I can't remember specifically, but if you're not a Plus Club member and you tried to join our Plus Club Facebook group, then you are correct. You would not be able to join because you're not a Plus Club member. But our virtual campfire group, everybody, whether you're a Plus Club member or not, is welcome. So check that out. You can go to virtualcampfiregroup.com to find that, or search for Virtual Campfire on Facebook and put in a request. We do go over the request to try to keep out the bad eggs, but you're a good egg, so we'll certainly let you in. Thank you. Jackie wants to know, have I ever traveled to New England? No, I would love to, but I have not. Deb says, hello from Kakalaka. I'd like to know where Kakalaka is from. I have no idea. I love that. Frailis, have you encountered many raised eyebrows on your career choice and belief in the existence of the supernatural? Yeah, when I told my friends in radio that I was going to, when I used to tell the management, like, oh, I do these little podcasts, and they're like, oh, that's nice. God bless you, kid. Oh, that's cute. And now, the same people that I used to tell about that, now they're like, their radio companies are dying to get into podcasting, and they're spending millions and millions of dollars to get into it. So I got a kind of the last laugh on that. And yes, when I told people I'm going to go full time and podcast on Bigfoot and ghosts and UFOs, yeah, I think I got a couple of raised eyebrows. Douglas said, I didn't know that was a washed hands emoji. I thought I was waving. Jacob says, the setup looks awesome. Thank you, Jacob. Now let's see if anybody see the Sasquatch sign. Now it's blurred out because I've got the fancy lens on that does the bokeh. But yeah, I've got that cute sign there. I think that's pretty cool. Angela says, hey, Jim, stay spooky. You look like you've lost weight. Looking good. Thank you so much. Any gin podcasts on the horizon? It came up in a call the other day. I don't think we've aired it yet, but nothing specifically. But who knows? Frayla says, what about your favorite Halloween movie, costume, and creepy dessert? Oh, Dar used to make for the kids mummy dogs, which is basically like a hot dog in a crescent roll. That's I'm pretty good with desserts. Favorite Halloween movie? I'll tell you my favorite campy Halloween thing. The Paul Lynde Halloween special. Look it up on YouTube. If you're not familiar with Paul Lynde, because many of you are young, unlike me, he was a famous American comedian and actor, and his claim to fame was being on a 60s and 70s game show called the Hollywood Squares. He was the center square and always came up with these great puns. I loved Paul Lynde. But if you want to look at something that's campy and not very good, check out his Halloween special from the 70s. I think that's probably my favorite campy type Halloween thing. And of course, I guess my favorite Halloween movie is Halloween. The stories that really scare me are the ones where people turn to find their other half staring at them with distorted facial features only to find it wasn't them. Often you could say it could be doppelgangers, but I think maybe it could be due to sleep paralysis. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know. Could go either way on that one. I wouldn't say for sure. I don't know. Deb is loving the 90-minute format. Thank you, Deb. Have you ever experienced something spooky while recording a podcast? Actually, yes, this week. And I got to tell you this because this is a funny story. And then I got to wrap up here in a little bit. We've been going for an hour and I've got a ton. Oh my gosh. I got a ton of comments here. Um, I was doing a campfire call and it is not aired yet, but it was from a woman who was from the Native American tradition. And she said, and it was, I'm not going to give away the story, but it's surrounded about something looking at her in the window. And she said in the Native American culture, it's very common. There's a thought and a saying, don't look out the window. You might not know what's looking back. And while I was recording, I had my window open. It was nighttime. I mean, I had my blinds open. And I looked out as I was talking, just like this. I was talking to her and it wasn't video. So I was listening and something went by my window, a person. And my daughters were out. So intellectually, I'm like, I think that is my daughter because they took a ride. They're not going anywhere because of COVID, but they occasionally will go out for a ride just to get out of the house. And then my oldest daughter comes up behind me and goes, and I got to tell you, oh, I got to tell you, my heart literally dropped. I mean, she really scared me with that. I think that's the scariest thing. And this just happened this last week. I think that's the scariest thing that's ever happened on podcast. Nick says, greetings from Northern Ireland. Crystal says she listens to the Big Seance podcast. Very cool, Patrick. Any original podcasts out there that you wish you would thought of? First Box of Oddities is pretty novel. Yeah, that's a good one. Here's what I'll say. I started my Crime Scene show, which many of you may not even be familiar with, as a plus show that made it free. And it never really caught on. And I started it before Serial. I wish I would have made that show free first. That might be my biggest show now if I had done that, because it was before Serial. It was before I had the idea for a true crime podcast before true crime podcasts were cool, and actually started it, but I made it plus only, which was a mistake. So that's probably my biggest regret. But yes, Box of Oddities is very cool. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't listen to as many podcasts as I should because I'm too busy making them. And that's the truth. But I do love Box of Oddities. That's one of my favorites. Terry says, wear a mask, save Halloween. That's kind of, I'm a mask wearer. I just like to be careful, trying to be super careful at this time. Ruth says she played our paranormal quiz. I'm super excited about your Halloween episode this year. Your campfire episodes are getting scarier. We're trying. Have you calculated how many hours you've given to us of campfire? I'm afraid I've spent weeks listening. Well, if you think about it, when the show started, it was every other week and it was about a half hour. And over the time, it grew to every week and it grew to 60 minutes. I think it kind of went up to 45. Then it went to 60. Well, let's just say this. If you have 460 episodes, 460 episodes, and let's say the average was 40 minutes a piece, maybe, I happen to have a calculator right here. So if we take 460 times 40, let's just say, that's 18,400 minutes divided by 60. That'd be 306 hours. And 306 hours divided by 24 is, so you could listen for almost 13 days in a row and never repeat a show. And that might be conservative. Brooke says, hi from Nashville. Have I ever seen a UFO? If so, where were you? State, location. I've seen several in my life. Well, I did not see a UFO in the sense of what people traditionally think of as a UFO, like something that looks like a craft. But Dar and I did see a green fireball over our suburb in suburban Cleveland, Ohio. It was about, I would say it was in the winter, so it was dark, and it was maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. And we were listening to a talk radio station. And somebody called and said that they were somewhere close and said, I just saw a green fireball go over in such and such a town. And the thing was, is we looked at each other and said, yeah, we saw it. So we saw a green fireball. Now, that could have just been some space junk or something re-entering the atmosphere. So we did see that. When is Nick Redfern on? Just recorded with him on Thursday, and that'll be on a week from Tuesday. Good afternoon from Georgia, which feels like the 5th level of hell. It's hot. Dar says, oh, Dar. Hi, Dar. Thank you for joining us. Looking scruffy, my darling. Yeah. You know, a lot of people think this is a look. This is, I'm too lazy to shave. I'm not a good beard grower. I don't think, I guess I'm just not enough of a man. But it's not a fashion sense. I'm too lazy to shave. Crystal says, hello from Lafayette, Louisiana. I listen to your podcast while I massage clients at work. Excellent. Anytime somebody can use this at work to lighten their load and make things easier for them, I'm all for it. Very cool. Freyla said, have you ever considered, or are you doing voice acting for video games? You have one of the most intriguing voices I know. I think you would do well in any fantasy or sci-fi game. Well, thank you. That's actually, I have a frog in my throat now, so I wouldn't do that well. But the only voice acting I've done is Jeff Belanger has a show called New England Legends, and occasionally he'll call on me to do a voice. That's basically it. My favorite's doing, what's his name? Scooby-Doo. Okay, this is the senility coming in. Shaggy. Gee, zoinks, Scoob, how you doing? Anyway. Input on Ed and Lorraine Warren. Interesting people, fascinating cases. I don't feel expert enough to say with 100% certitude one way or the other, whether they were great investigators or not, but they're certainly legendary. So I wouldn't say anything against them, for sure. And I wish I would have interviewed Lorraine Warren, and I probably could have if I had done it when I first started earlier on. She just passed, I think, in the last year or two, but that's a regret that I didn't interview her. Kakalaka is Carolina. That's a great one. I'm going to add that into my list of favorite city names. There's, what was the one somebody called on the show? Well, there's Schenectady, which I love Schenectady. I think that was the one somebody called on Paranormal Quest. Also love Sheboygan. Have I ever interviewed David Paulides of Missing 411? Okay. Do you want me to spill the tea, everybody? I'll spill the tea. I'll tell you what happened. This goes back to at least, I would say, 9 years ago. I contacted Mr. Paulides. He agreed to be on the show. He was kind enough to send me one of his books, which was very nice. And he said, I want you to prepare and read thus and so before our interview. Now, keep in mind, this was when I was working a full-time job. So the truth was, I didn't get to read the sections he wanted to. But I did try to read some of it. And I emailed him, I said, just confirming, by the way, I didn't get to read everything, but I did get to read some sections or something like that. That was basically the gist of it. And, no. I don't want to get this wrong. I think he wanted me to tell him what areas we were going to talk about. And I did. That's what it was. I apologize for my mistake there. He wanted me to tell him certain cases, and he wanted them so many hours in advance, like a day or two in advance. And I did do it, but I did it like that a few hours before. And he basically said, well, I'm not going to be on the show. You've given me no time to prepare. And the thing is I respect Mr. Paulides, but the thing is that for my books, I've been on countless shows, and I never make those kind of demands on my interviewers. Like I say, ask me anything and I'll figure it out. But to each his own. So I don't think we'll be having Mr. Paulides on the show, unfortunately. Ellie, tuning in from Turnbridge Wells, UK. I listen to the Campfire religiously. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you, Ellie. I appreciate it. How kind is that? Michael says, best podcast on air. Go to 90-minute episodes. Love your shows. Keep up great work. Thank you. Okay, I'm getting behind on my I'm going through a hard time right now, and listening to you takes my mind off of things. Ellie, hey, I'm like I said, I'm glad we can be an oasis at this time, and I'm glad you enjoy the shows, and I wish you the best. Paul Lind, Uncle Arthur on Bewitched, you called it. He was awesome. Favorite head scratcher, Roadhouse Saloon. Your podcast, A Mysterious Universe, my first podcast that I discovered when I was waiting the birth of my firstborn. Your shows kept me entertained when I went on my nap drives. Very good. That's cool. Frayless, I'm glad you stick to your guns despite the naysayers and brought your wonderful show to life. Congrats. I'm an indie novel writer. Haven't had major financial success yet, but made quite a few fans who love my works and are eager to ask questions. It's just good to know one makes a difference in someone else's life by fueling their imagination. I agree. And Frayless, if you put it in the comments, I'll try to post it. We're going to wrap up soon here, but I'll try to post everything in. Jim, is your family into the paranormal? Are they like dad's weird? Well, my wife is definitely, Dar is definitely interested in. She's not as deep, obviously, as I am into it, but she's more interested. I think my kids are more dad is weird. They're more skeptics. I think my younger daughter's a little more into it. I think my older daughter's a little more cynical. Is this live? Yes. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Crystal. Thank you for 11 to 90 minutes. Douglas, I'm getting behind in my podcast listening. I retired from my job and now I need to make time to listen. Yes, we did. What did we do? I don't know. The UFO. Yes. Dar says, I don't believe it was a green fireball. It was a UFO, I think, unidentified and flying. Well, you're right. It does meet the traditional definition. It's flying and it's unidentified. But I think most people, when they think of UFOs, what I was trying to say and didn't say it very well, is they think of like a disc-like object or something that looks like a craft. Douglas says, I'm getting behind my podcast listening. I retired from my job and now I need to make time to listen. Well, excellent. Douglas said, saw a black triangle hovering over my base in New Jersey. I've got a cough, folks. And my usual machine here has a cough button, but this one doesn't, so excuse me. I've been watching Dark Shadows from the 70s since last July, almost every day, and still not done. That's cool. Not sure if I asked this before. I'm wondering if you've ever watched Twin Peaks. A lot of doppelgangers and tulpas for you. Maria, I loved the original Twin Peaks. Tried watching the movie Fire Walk with Me. Didn't like that. Tried to watch the new one. I think it was on Showtime. Didn't like that. But the original, like the first season, I think, that was tremendous. I mean, it's tremendous. But it was one of those things that, in my opinion at least, is one of those things that you can only do so much of it and then it wore itself out. And I think I rewatched the first season when the new one came out to prepare myself. I went back because I'd watched it when I was like in college and I loved that show. So Maria from Schenectady. Yay, Schenectady. Gilbert from California. I like this. Tyler, not a question. I often envision you sitting back in a robe, smoking a tobacco pipe while listening to stories. Well, funny you should mention that. Brad, you do a great job. It's very appreciated. Thank you. Frayless, can they just Google you? Can they just search your name on Amazon? That link, that's long. They're not going to be able to click on it. Can they just search your name? Tyler says, not a question. He said about the pipe. Yeah. No, I haven't done that. But that sounds like a fun way. Maybe someday I'll do the show in a robe with a pipe, although I don't smoke. Carter-Link, I'm on you with ghost hunting TV shows. They go for the scares and are too sensationalist to take seriously. Now, I'll say this. There's probably some good ones, but I'm just turned off. So, Ben says, plug the quiz. Yes. The Paranormal Quiz every other Tuesday. It'll be a week from Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. The Paranormal Quiz. I do it with Dar, my wife. She does a fantastic job. She runs the game and reminds me whose turn it is. And we have 3 great contestants who win fun prizes. So join us. And if you haven't seen any of them, go over to youtube.com/Jim Harold. I think we're up to 12 now. They're archived over there. Ben, thank you so much. Ben played. Ben came very close to winning. And like on the last question or two, he missed a question. But Ben, thank you so much for playing. I appreciate it. And thanks for reminding me to plug it. David, sending love from Elmira, New York. Looking good, brother. Thank you so much. Terry says you should have Varla Ventura on again. I love her book. She's excellent. Do I have pets? Of course I have pets. Teddy and Rambo, the 2 dogs. I wish I had a picture. If I had a picture, I could show them. Mahler said he thought he saw a UFO in LA one time. Turned out it was Musk's SpaceX launch. Phil wants to know, where's Dungeon Hamster? I don't know, but Dungeon Hamster from California, I think, does a great job on our shows. Ben asked, the question he missed. The damn Chupacabra. Yep. I thought you knew that one for sure. And I think you did, Ben. I think you just blanked. Elizabeth says, what's your favorite horror flick? I'll stick with Halloween's great, but I think The Shining wins out for me. Robin says, hello, Sunday morning in Australia. I think we got through everything here. Let's see here. Yep. I think we got, here we go. Freylis wanted to give her that plug. Search for G.F. Bielek on Amazon or Am I Beautiful on Amazon, one of my many novels. Cool. Terry says, get Varla on, Varla Ventura. We'll work on it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we're going to close out on this one. People seem to like this new angle, so we'll try this out a little bit. As always, I want to thank you for all of your support. You guys are great. I get to do this full time, which, I'm not a millionaire or anything like that, but I get to do something I really enjoy, talk about subjects that fascinate me, and it's my job. How much luckier could it be? Particularly at this time, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do this from my home studio, the Spooky Studio. It's all because of you. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time. And as always, stay safe and stay spooky.